Hey, great to have you here. So today I want to do a ranking of the Z Fighters or Z Warriors or pretty much the protagonists of Dragon Ball Z, whatever you want to call them. Keep in mind this list is going to be subjective as far as my favorites and who all qualifies as a Z Fighter kind of changes over time as the story progresses. Please don't be disappointed if you have a different opinion than me. That's honestly what makes things the most fun to discuss. So without further ado, here's my list. Coming in at number 5, we have Piccolo. So Piccolo was the first character in Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball, so Dragon Ball Z, who went from being an enemy to an ally, which kind of became a trend going forward, and they had that a little bit in Dragon Ball as well with some of the characters. His evolution as a character was really awesome to see, as he grew to care for Gohan and others on Earth. Of the non-Saiyans, he was probably the least left behind character when it came to relevancy and power level, and I think I remember hearing that he was actually Toriyama's favorite character. In battle, he was generally the smartest one and could outwit his opponents. The Garlic Jr. saga is an example that comes to mind there. It was nice to see him get his flowers and superhero with his big transformation, and I really hope they keep up his importance in future content. Coming in number 4, we have Tien. So Tien's a classic example of getting the most out of somebody. While he, alongside the other Earthlings, have mostly been left behind, he was always cool to have around. Other than the million times that Piccolo loses a limb and then regrows it, Tien, I believe, was the only other protagonist in Z who lost a limb in combat. Even though he didn't rise to the occasion like the Saiyans did, he stepped up to the plate against Semi-Perfect Cell. He was the only one left alive in the Buu saga, and he was even a factor in Dragon Ball Super on Universe 7's team in the Tournament of Power. He has some pretty sick moves with his Solar Flare and Tri-Beam, and just an awesome character I wish they'd explore more. Before jumping to number 3, I figured this would be a good time to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd be super grateful if you do so and join this community, just talking about fun stuff like this. But on to number 3. At number 3, we have Future Trunks. When Future Trunks arrived on the scene and beat Mecha Frieza, he was the most incredible character that no one knew anything about. From visual design and backstory, he's probably the coolest character in all of Dragon Ball Z. I did a video on this a while ago, but his storyline with the androids felt pretty similar to the Terminator storyline in those James Cameron movies. I think we got the right amount of him in Z, being in pretty much only the Cell saga, but I will say Kid Trunks is not nearly as awesome as the version that had a traumatic upbringing. Coming in at number 2, we have Vegeta. So similar to Piccolo, this character has a from bad to good story, but it was drawn out a lot longer throughout Dragon Ball Z. Both Vegeta the villain and Vegeta the hero are great, and his growth between the two is probably the best character arc in all of Dragon Ball Z. He even had some slip-ups along the way with things like Majin Vegeta, which may be the most astounding form in all of Dragon Ball. Watching the dub growing up for voice actors, I grew to think of Brian Drummond from the Ocean dub as the younger, evil Vegeta, and Chris Sabat from the Funimation dub as the more mature, good Vegeta. He has some of the best dialogue and one-liners in the entire franchise, with his "You are the best" speech in the Buu saga being my absolute favorite.
You're better than me, Kakarot. You are the best.
Number 1 had to be my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball. I'm even wearing the shirt. You probably can't see it super well, but you can see the text there, and that's Gohan. Part of my attachment to Gohan is likely due to the fact that I was growing up as he was growing up throughout the series. Sure, he can be a little whiny in the Saiyan saga, but he was also like 4 years old. Teen Gohan is my absolute favorite version of him, and his fight against Cell, in my opinion, is the most iconic in all of Dragon Ball. Similar to Vegeta, he has an incredible character arc. His personality remains that of a protector, not a fighter. His willingness to fight only when it's absolutely necessary is what makes him unique. I realize they nerfed him a little bit in the Buu saga, and to some people he gets what are unwarranted power-ups, but that's really just part of his character. He's a powerful character because that's inside of him, and not because he trains 24/7 like someone like Goku. But that's my list. What'd you think of it? Speaking of Goku, I realize he's not included here. He's great and absolutely necessary for the show to exist, but he's not somebody I considered for this list. Who are your own personal top 5 Z fighters? I really enjoy talking about this stuff, so sound off on all things Dragon Ball Z in the comments below and let's discuss. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you again soon.